Hey, fuckfaces, are we great yet?
This is bad. The United States of America, the country that once called the shots for the entire planet, is being left out of the room. Not by enemies, by its own allies. And while Donald Trump sits there rage posting on social media like a man screaming into a void, France, Japan, the Philippines, the United Kingdom, and dozens of other nations are quietly, methodically cutting deals with Iran behind his back. Let that sit with you for a second. The so-called leader of the free world is finding out in real time that the world has moved on without him. Now look, I know that sounds dramatic, but I'm not exaggerating a single thing here. Every piece of what I'm about to walk you through is documented. It's reported. It's happening right now. And if you're only watching American cable news, you probably have no idea any of this is going on. That's by design, but I'm going to walk you through this piece by piece, receipt by receipt, because what's unfolding right now isn't just a bad week for Trump's foreign policy. This is a full-blown geopolitical realignment, the kind of thing historians write entire books about, and we are living through it in real time. So let's start with France, because what France just pulled off is, honestly, it's kind of breathtaking. A container ship signaling French ownership just exited the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if you don't know what that means, let me paint the picture. The Strait of Hormuz has been essentially shut down. This is the most important oil choke point on planet Earth. About a fifth of the world's oil supply flows through that narrow waterway. And ever since this war, this reckless, unilateral military adventure that the United States and Netanyahu launched without consulting anyone, Iran has locked it down. Ships weren't getting through. Global energy markets were thrown into chaos. And here comes France, a country that Donald Trump has been publicly mocking, whose president's wife Trump has been personally insulting on camera. France just sailed right through. Now think about that. How did they do it? They didn't bomb their way through. They didn't send a carrier group. They didn't threaten Iran with annihilation. They negotiated. They worked the diplomatic channels. Behind the scenes, France went to the United Nations Security Council and used its power as a permanent member to block any resolution that would authorize a military invasion or forced reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. France said no. We're not doing it your way, Donald. We're not going to war for your ego. We're going to talk to Iran like adults. And guess what? It worked. That French ship sailed through because France earned passage through diplomacy, the thing the United States used to be the best in the world at. Bloomberg is reporting that Iran has set up what is essentially a toll system in the Strait of Hormuz. They're charging somewhere between $1 to $3 per barrel of oil for passage. You can feel however you want about that, but here is the reality. Iran controls that waterway right now. That is the fact on the ground. And instead of screaming about it on social media, France recognized that reality and worked within it. They partnered with Oman. They engaged Iran directly. They used actual statecraft. And they got their ship through. France, a country Trump treats like a doormat, just outmaneuvered the entire United States diplomatic apparatus. Not with firepower, with brains. And France isn't alone, not even close. Let's talk about Japan. Japan is dealing with an energy crisis right now. They are critically low on liquefied natural gas, LNG. Their economy, their heating, their power grid, it all depends on that supply. And Japan needed to get a tanker through the Strait of Hormuz, or things were going to get very bad very quickly. So what did Japan do? Did they call Donald Trump and beg for help? No. They went around him. Reports are indicating that Japan, under Prime Minister Takahashi, either negotiated directly with Iran's President Pezeshkian or used intermediaries like Russia or Pakistan to broker a deal. And it worked. Mitsui OSK Lines confirmed that a Japanese-owned LNG tanker crossed through the Strait of Hormuz. And here's the part that shows you how smart Iran is playing this. Iran didn't open the floodgates. They are being surgical about it. They recognize Japan is desperate for LNG, and they're letting just enough through to keep Japan at the negotiating table. Just enough to keep them engaged. Just enough to make Japan understand you need US. Not the US as in the United States. You need US, Iran. That is a level of strategic patience that Donald Trump couldn't spell, let alone execute. Donald Trump rants and raves every day with no plan. It's why he's bankrupted everything he's touched. This casino, that company, this casino again. And now we're watching the same pathology play out on the world stage. Now let's talk about what Macron said in Seoul, because this is where the real story is. This is where you see the future being built. He said, we should not be passive in this new disorder. We have to build a new order. A new order. The president of France is openly, publicly on a state visit saying the American-led international system is finished. And it's time to build something else. He went further. He said, there is room to build new cooperation between Korea and France, bringing with us other Europeans, Canada, Japan, India, Brazil, and Australia. A sort of third way, those who don't want to be dependent on China or aligned by definition with the United States. A third way, you add up those countries, Canada, Japan, India, Brazil, Australia, South Korea, the European bloc. That's a massive chunk of the global economy and military power, all saying the same thing. We don't trust America anymore under this guy. And notice the language. He said, we must not be vassals to two dominant powers. We don't want to depend on the dominance of China, and we don't want to be too much exposed to the unpredictability of the US. He doesn't call China unpredictable. He calls China dominant. That's respect. He calls the United States unpredictable. That's what we've become. Not the steady hand, not the reliable partner, the one nobody can count on, because every day there's a new tantrum, a new threat, a new reversal. Then Macron directly called out Trump's credibility. He said, 6 months ago, we were told by the Americans that everything had been destroyed in Iran. Everything had been settled. Clearly, that was not the case. Without international inspectors verifying materials, research, and hidden sites, it is simply not serious. A world leader calling the United States not serious. And he's earned the right because his country is the one getting ships through while America can't. On military action, Macron said, I don't believe we will fix the situation just by bombings or military operations. Look at what happened in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. We never delivered. Never. Even after 20 years. You have to respect the sovereignty of people. And on the Strait of Hormuz specifically, opening it by force is not the option we have chosen. We consider it unrealistic. A military operation would take an infinite amount of time and expose forces to immense coastal and ballistic risks. It must be reopened only in coordination with Iran. That's the language, cooperation with Iran. Now pull back and look at the full picture. The Philippines, their top diplomat, had a call with Iran's foreign minister and came out saying, productive call today. We reached a positive understanding on the safety of our seafarers and the security of our energy supply. Grateful for the warm spirit of cooperation. Warm spirit of cooperation with Iran. That's the Philippines talking about Iran the way countries used to talk about the United States. You understand how upside down this world has become. And the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, These are the countries that were supposedly